We all know what a CD looks like: shiny, silver, and about the size of your hand. But have you ever wondered how it actually stores your favorite album or that old family photo album? To understand the full story, we need to answer to big questions. First, how is the data physically organized on the disk? And second, how do we actually write that data onto a blank one? Let's start at the very beginning with the architecture. If you look at a traditional magnetic hard drive or a floppy disk, the data is stored on separate, independent circular tracks. Just like concentric rings on a dartboard. Each ring is split into tiny blocks called sectors. But here's the flaw. The outer rings are much longer than the inner ones, yet they all hold the exact same number of sectors. Now, look at a CD-ROM. Instead of separate circles, it uses a single, continuous track that winds outward from the center, like a giant snail shell or a coiled spring. Every single block or sector along this spiral is the exact same physical size. No wasted space. This is why an optical disc can pack so much more data into the same surface area. But having a long spiral creates a mechanical challenge. When the laser reads near the center, one full rotation covers a very short distance. When it reads near the outer edge, one rotation covers a much longer stretch. To solve this, the drive uses a technique called constant linear velocity, or CLV. Instead of spinning at a fixed speed, the drive constantly adjusts the rotation speed. The laser head moves closer to the center, the disc speeds up. It moves toward the rim, the disc slows down. The goal is simple: ensure that the laser travels over the exact same length of track per second, whether it's inside or outside. This keeps the flow of data steady and reliable. Now, let's move to how do we actually create this data on a blank disk. A recordable CD, or CDR, is built like a complex sandwich. At the base is a sturdy layer of clear polycarbonate plastic. On top of that sits a special organic dye layer, often colored green, blue, or gold. Above that, there's a thin, mirror-like layer of gold or silver that reflects light. Finally, a protective lacquer coating and a scratch-resistant top layer keep everything safe. The real magic lies in that middle dye layer. It's chemically designed to be sensitive to a very specific kind of light. But how does the laser know where it is on this massive spiral? Underneath that dye, manufacturers embed a microscopic groove. This groove isn't perfectly straight, it gently wobbles from side to side, like a serpentine rod. This wobble creates a continuous wave pattern that subtly changes frequency from the start of the disc to the end. When the laser reads this pattern, it acts like a GPS navigation system. It can pinpoint its exact location anywhere on the disc. Using this location data, called absolute time in per groove, the drive precisely controls the motor speed. To maintain that constant linear velocity we talked about earlier, ensuring the perfect writing conditions. Now comes the actual recording. The software sends your data to the drive in a standard format like ISO 9660, which also adds error correction codes and a table of contents. To write this data, the laser switches to a high-powered pulse. It operates at a specific infrared wavelength, about 780 nanometers. The organic dye is precisely engineered to absorb this exact wavelength. When the intense beam hits the dye, it permanently alters it. Depending on the brand, this happens by bleaching the dye, melting the plastic, or creating tiny blisters. Where the laser fires, a physical mark, often called a stripe, is permanently created. Because this change is irreversible, the CDR becomes a W or M medium. Write once, read many. Finally, how does the drive retrieve this data? For playback, the laser switches back to a lower, safer power. When it hits a smooth, unmarked area, the gold layer reflects the beam cleanly back to the sensor, creating a sharp electrical pulse. But when it hits one of those permanent stripes, the physical distortion scatters the beam in all directions. The sensor detects this drop in reflection. The computer translates the pulses and silences directly into binary code. So from the clever spiral architecture to the heat-sensitive dye, the CDR is a masterpiece of engineering. And now, you know exactly how it pulls off that magic trick. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.